Al, we got two games that are just incredibly similar to each other to talk about this week.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about these two games, you're like, man, how did these two games just come out and be so similar to each other? Like, you would think someone would look into this and be like, there's got to be some, like, plagiarism going on here or something.
I mean, the star of each, they're both good boys, so
True.
there is that. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta have good boy games.
Good boy games. That's the new genre.
Perfect.
Good boy games.
Good boy games.
Just what we always wanted.
Yep.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast, not a concast or something. I don't know what I was saying there.
Don't say Comcast, they're terrible.
It is not that. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Howe and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode number 276. We're going to talk about two games as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a game and a DLC expansion, I guess. A little bit of a difference.
Basically.
No, it's very different.
We played for a lot of time.
No. Yeah,
No.
we played for a decent amount of time. You were correct.
Yeah.
This week we're going to talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land because everyone forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And also we're going to talk about the Lost Judgment Kaito Files DLC expansion
Mm-hmm.
that came out in the final DLC for Lost Judgment. The
Yeah.
first story DLC expansion for a Yakuza game.
Wilden.
Which is pretty wild. But yeah, we'll talk about all of that here this week. But yeah, let's first start off with some Curb. Did you know
Did I know?
this is the 17th mainline game in the Kirby series, apparently?
I did not know that. Holy moly.
That's a lot of Curb.
That's a lot of Curb.
Kirby everywhere.
Wow.
Kirby and curbing your enthusiasm.
Perfect.
This game came out on March 25th, 2022. If you were unaware.
Mm-hmm.
It was also produced as part of Kirby's 30th anniversary. He's old. He's an old man now. Apparently, this was teased back in 2020 as preparation for the anniversary.
Holy moly, was it?
It was described as a new phase for the series that will culminate the best aspects of Kirby.
God, time isn't real.
It's true. Game director Tatsuya Kamiyama explained how the team focused on making the game approachable even with the change of perspective to 3D, while at the same time making it satisfying to play to the player. The 3D transition was described as very challenging, with Kamiyama being the one who made the pitch for a 3D game, which HAL struggled with for years, resulting in many canceled projects, while also presenting solutions on how to make the transition to 3D, including character design, gameplay, and many other aspects, finally allowing for development to begin on a 3D title after several failed attempts since the 2000s. Which is wild to think, because you would think, you know, how long Kirby has been a thing, that we would have had at least one 3D platformer by this point, considering Nintendo kind of was like the genesis of the 3D platformer.
Right.
They could have just called someone up at Nintendo and be like, hey, how'd you do Mario 64 and every other game since then? And they could have been like, hey, this is how we did it. But apparently they were like, this is too hard. We're just going to cancel these games and just continue to make 2D looking games. Not 2D games, but 2D platforming style games.
Yep.
Until now they're like, hey, we can make a 3D one now.
Whoa.
We did it. So that's pretty wild to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You have played more of this game than I have, obviously. You have beat the game. I've played the first level. I've also watched various VTubers play through bits and parts of this game, so I've seen some of this game.
I see it. I didn't know any VTubers were playing it.
Not in its entirety. But yes.
I played it like, I don't know, probably like 90%. Give or take.
Yeah. I think going into this, I was the marketing and like the trailers, I think give it a bit of a different perspective than what I thought the game was actually going to be, because the way they really kind of pitched this game to you at first is like it looks like an open world Kirby game.
Right.
That's not what this game is at all.
Nope.
It is a 3D platformer where you're going through levels. Which
Yep.
is fine. It's just like I thought this was going to be like open world, and then you get to the actual game. It's like, oh, that's not this at all. Oh, okay,
Nope. Nope. Nope.
all right.
That is definitely not what we got here. But yeah, it's basically just like we have a hub world, and also we're gonna travel to other worlds. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. Um, I will say one thing that I think is a bit of a bummer is that you can kind of tell where they had to make compromises with the performance.
Mm.
Where if you're looking at things in the distance, it just is like they just turned the frame rate down to like 1 frame a second when you see stuff in the background populating, and you're like,
Yep.
oh right, this is a Switch game.
Yeah, it's wild that you see things just like robotically moving like
Yeah.
a little bit behind. You're like, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, I guess, to say the least. I haven't seen it in handheld mode, so I don't know how different, or if there really is any difference between the two.
I didn't run it
Between it
in
and
handheld
docked.
mode.
But yeah,
Docked it only.
those are really my only things I can say about Kirby. Other than I played that first level and it was fine. It was very much Kirby,
It was very
which
much
is
Kirby.
what I expected. I got to be a car and I got to go vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom.
I got to be a code and I got to go smash the ground.
Yeah. Get to
So
be a
that was-
vending machine.
Yeah, and I got to shoot cans at people.
Nice.
Just be a menace.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Yeah, I've played, like I said, about 90% of the game probably. And then I decided that was all I needed to play, so I was done. And yeah, it is very much not explained why we're in this like weird dystopia level area. Or where the heck we are. There are two like worlds that, well, I guess technically 3 worlds that you go to. In terms of like overarching maps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the smaller nodes within the areas. So there's a lot of levels in this game, like a lot. And it has like some collectathon type aspects to it where you've got to like find the
Waddle Dees.
Waddle Dees. Thank you.
Also, there's Gotcha.
There's Gotcha. Yes. You got to find the capsule toys. You got to find the Waddle Dees. I feel like there's something else you have to find, but maybe that's just it.
There's also just like a bunch of like mini objectives you can do within each level.
Yes, there are little mini like hidden objectives, and the more that you like complete the level, if you have not done them by then, it'll like tell you, hey, here's what you should do. Which was helpful sometimes because I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do here to actually make this thing show up? It's like something stupid. I'm like, oh, okay. Well then. So it definitely rewards you doing excessive exploration, which I did a lot of. But then there were some that I was just like, this is stupid. I'm not doing it. And I skipped it. That happened a few times. I was just like, nope, no, we're good. Thank you very much. So I didn't get all of the Waddle Dees, but I did a pretty decent job, I think. And then later on, you have to collect pieces of souls or a single soul. You have to find like, I think 150 out of 200 pieces of a soul or something. I was like, isn't that kind of messed up to like only give this guy part of his soul back? And then I did the more messed up thing, and that I found all but one of the pieces of the soul. So I was like rolling up there with like 199, like, yeah, we're gonna give you your soul back. I'm like, you're just missing that one piece. Hope it wasn't anything you really liked, buddy. So yeah, that was my buttholio moment. You also have to find blueprints to enhance your abilities, because you can do the copy abilities in the game. And there are lots of copy abilities. There's Tornado Kirby and Sword Kirby and Ice Kirby and Fire Kirby and Sleepy Kirby and like weird nuclear bomb Kirby. Trying to remember what there's a drill Kirby, there's a hammer Kirby. Anyway, there's lots of Kirby's that you can be. Took me forever to find that Sleepy Kirby though, because I never thought to like actually try and eat those enemies. I was like, oh, because they never tried to hurt me. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna leave you guys alone. Turns out if you swallowed them, then you'd be Sleepy Kirby.
Nice. That's just you.
I know. It's great. You could just take a nap in the middle of the battlefield and like
You're like, yeah.
get your health back. I'm like, heck yeah. You get a sweet hat in the enhanced version of the Sleepy Kirby. But yeah, you can like switch up your abilities to figure out like what's the best way to get through this level. And you have to like rebuild the Waddle Dee town that's there for some reason in the new dystopia land. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. You have to rebuild it. And you've got like a weird little like fairy thing that follows you. I don't know what to describe that green thing as.
Hey,
that blue
listen.
Green? Not like that. It's like a blue green big eared thing.
Yeah.
It's your new friend. I don't know. As we were talking about before we started recording, like there's not much story here.
It's a Kirby story.
It's a Kirby story. There's a beast world thing going on here, and you gotta fight some animals, and eventually you find some DDD, and you fight some DDD, and then you gotta fight the bigger bad. And the bigger bad is kind of wild and unexpected and kind of hard.
Kirby 2.
No. Which I guess that's something else that can be mentioned. There's difficulty levels on this.
Yeah, because they basically present that to you right at the start of the game. And I was like, I don't know which one. What mean? Which means what?
Yep.
And I had to be like read it like intently and be like, oh, okay, I understand what you're getting at now. Here's the normal difficulty, and here is baby mode.
Yep. I played in baby mode.
Unsurprising.
And even still, some of the bosses were rough.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And at one point, I was having issues defeating a boss, and I like Googled how people had defeated him, and they're like, "Make sure you switch to baby mode before you do this." And I was like, "I am on baby mode.
Already got that done. Check.
What am I supposed to do?" But yeah, it usually depends on like using the appropriate
Power up.
copy ability. Yeah. And then there's some that's like the special thing is like use a copy ability that doesn't make any sense when it comes to fighting this guy. I'm like, why? So
why?
There are many times that I would just buy a Maxim tomato and take it with me, and I'm like, all right, let's go, buddy. So yeah, there's also like some mini games in there, like you have the like secret areas that you can find that, well, I mean, not all of them are secret, but some of them pop up after levels that you get to like do tasks based off of whatever copy ability they want you to use.
I've heard some of the like getting like golds on those are not easy.
I got gold on all of them.
Well, aren't you special? I just like I'd heard scuttlebutt around like some of the like target times for at least like some of the
the target times. Okay, no, I didn't
yeah.
meet the target times on all of them. I passed all of them. I met the target times on about half of them, I think.
Yeah, like the thing I hear is like the target times are some of them are real rough.
Yeah, some of them are stupid. I agree with you on that. But the benefit is only getting like 50 extra coins, so there's no actual like reason to drive yourself crazy trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that at one point I was like, why can't I do this? And I looked down and I was like, oh, you only get extra 50 coins. Like, screw that.
Unless that's also a thing that goes to like completion percentage as well. So I guess if
Probably,
you're
but I don't care
doing
enough.
100%, you would have to do that, but you were not, so
Nope, nope.
you could just be like, all right, done.
Yeah, I didn't care enough. And there's also like some little mini games in like the Waddle Dee town. Like there's the Coliseum. There's also a restaurant that you can build, and you can help the Waddle Dees with the restaurant by like helping them during the like lunch rush to give them the correct foods that they want.
All right, I heard there was like a cook serve delicious style game in Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting.
It is there. I had fun with it. I enjoyed playing that. There's also like a post office type thing that you can put in codes, and the funny thing is that like you don't even have to really find the codes if you just look them up online and put the codes in. Then the guy's just like, "All right, cool. Here's the stuff." So so like I put in the demo codes and I was like, oh, I didn't even actually play the demo, but here we go, demo codes. And he's like, ah, yes, here are your things. I'm like, thank you.
Because they're non-unique codes, which
They're not
helps.
unique codes, and none of the codes you can find in the game are unique codes, so you can just find them all
You're like,
on
here you
the
go.
on the Googles. Although do make sure that they have to be all in caps. I found that out the hard way. That was like, why isn't it taking this code? And then I realized, like, oh, you have to put caps lock on everything. So you're just yelling at this poor postman. Ah. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I will say that like one of my favorite mouthful things is like you get a ring
Yes.
and you just like pop air through your mouth and it's really funny looking. I like it a lot. There's also one that like you swallow like a piece of it's not a fence, but it's a piece of like all decorative fencing type thing. And you become a glider.
Ooh, fancy.
And that's fun. Why are you sending me Kirby's? Ah, look at him! That guy. I don't know where you got that, but I love him.
It's a little ring Kirby.
I want to use Ring Kirby all the time. You have to tell me where you got that later. But so yeah, Ring Kirby's one of my favorites. I like him a lot.
How about what would you like this Kirby?
What? Oh my god!
Kirby's clapped up.
Wow. Why do you have a emote of Kirby's cake?
You know, sometimes you just get weird emotes when you're in a bunch of different servers.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Ring Kirby is probably my favorite. I enjoy him quite a bit. He's pretty wild. And I just constantly just go around like pop, pop, pop. Throwing air at people and things. So yeah, that's like the new big feature is the mouthful stuff.
Yeah.
But there's some creative levels and creative level design. There's some fun areas. Like I said, still not explained why we're in this weird dystopian world, but it's Kirby, so I guess it doesn't really need that much of an explanation.
Yeah. All you need is here's some new levels and abilities and have fun.
I think my favorite like sub area was the amusement park. I enjoyed that a lot.
Because you like to be amused.
Yeah. There's also a level that's like a beach resort type of thing. And you're able to like take a nap by a pool, and that was pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah. Like you have to swallow the guy to get his sleepy abilities, but I just like was like, yeah, I'm gonna swallow this. I'm gonna fall asleep right here, and then it's like, here, have a Waddle Dee for that. I'm like, cool. Thanks.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. So anyway, spoiler alert: if you fall asleep by the pool, you get a Waddle Dee.
Well, there you go. Hot tips.
always try and get some naps in.
Always just fall asleep.
Always just fall asleep. It's just
Fighting a boss, fall asleep.
Good life advice. Good life advice. So yeah, that's really it. Do you have anything else you want to mention about The curb.
I'm very disappointed that the box art for Kirby, the U.S. box art specifically, doesn't have him angry for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's just disappointing. He needs to be very angry and mad because that's American Kirby. He's angry and mad all the time. Urgh,
Grrr.
I'm Kirby.
I'm so mad.
I hate everything, but I'm really happy. I'm on these box arts. I'm very angry. But yeah, that's it. Curb is curb.
Yep. So that's one good boy.
Yes, let's talk about another good boy
Let's have another good boy.
that also came out around the same time.
Yeah.
The Kaito Files, the DLC for Lost Judgment, which dropped on a Monday of all things, which was very weird.
Very weird.
Came out on March 28th, 2022, a couple of days after Kirby came out, like we just mentioned, and was the final bit of DLC for Lost Judgment. And like we mentioned earlier, the first bit of story DLC for a Yakuza series game, which is interesting. Very surprising and interesting. We've made mention, or at least we've talked about this, that it kind of feels like this is a way for them to see or like just test the water of, hey, what if we made a game that didn't have Yagami as the main protagonist because we are having issues with management and all that sort of stuff. So
Yep.
let's see how this goes. Because he's definitely not in this.
At all.
At least his character model is not in this. He does show up via text messages.
He shows up via text messages and that's it.
But yeah, he is not seen within the confines of the DLC story at all. There's also a few other characters that are notably missing as well, but like they're not quite as big as Yagami, so they're not necessarily needed per se.
Right.
But there are still a few mainline characters that show up in this as well, along with quite a few new characters that we get to meet and learn about, which is very interesting. Because this DLC is based off of Kaito, he is our main protagonist. We get 2 new fighting styles with him, which are kind of similar to, the Yakuza 0 and 1 engine, where they had like the one kind of more straightforward fighting style, and then the one that was like you just go around and grab weapons and just beat people with them.
Yep.
That's basically what you have here. Which I think they're fine. They definitely are very different from what Yagami uses, which I think is a good differentiator between the 2 characters and like making it feel like they are very different in their fighting styles, which I think you kind of need because obviously I don't think Kaito's going to be doing cool flips and like all the stuff that Yagami does with his fighting style. That would be very weird and
It would be strange because he's so beefy.
yeah, it would not fit the character at all. So like having Kaito do more of like traditional Yakuza fighting styles makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep.
So you get that. There's also like the upgrade system is in here, but it's not like as robust as it is in original Lost Judgment. But there is still quite a bit you can do between leveling your character up, leveling up your fighting styles, leveling up just some random stuff here and there that you can do as well. So like it has a bunch of the what you would expect from the original game and all that sort of stuff. You mainly stay in Kamurocho in this. There are a few other areas you go to, but you don't really get to explore them per se.
No.
Like you do go to Ijincho later in the story, but you don't really get to go around in like the entire map and all that sort of stuff. It's just kind of like here's one area you get to go to, and that's it. Which is fine.
And then there's a very small piece of Chiba that you go
Yeah.
to. Very small.
Yeah, you get to go to a house, and that's it.
Yep.
Which is fine. Like it's not. I would expect basically that much from this kind of DLC. I wouldn't expect them to like make it so robust that you would have all this sort of stuff. You kind of may expect it though, because like this is a very pricey piece of DLC.
Yeah, it was 30 buckaroos.
$30. But you do get like I think we finished up with like around like 8 hours of us just doing the story.
Yeah.
One of the, I think the downsides of this is that there's not really any side content in this, which I think is a disappointment because, the Yakuza series has kind of lived and breathed off of that kind of extra content throughout all their games. But it makes sense with the way this story is kind of presented that you would want to just like kind of mainline it, and it doesn't really have like opportunities to have kind of the weird, wacky stuff kind of pop up throughout it. But it is disappointing because I think you could have still at least like thrown in a couple here and there.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because I like those so much.
Yeah, and it would also just kind of help break up the more like serious nature of the story for you.
Oh boy, does that get serious at times.
Yeah. So I think that would have been a nice added touch. But like everything else that you would expect to be in the game is kind of here. Like all the mini games are still here. You can play all of the arcade games, all of the side games, all
Sonic
of
the
that.
Fighters.
Sonic the Fighters is still here. You can go to
play
the
some
crane
claw
game.
games.
Yeah. Like all that stuff's still here if you want to do it.
You can decorate the office still.
You can still decorate the office. So like all that is there, but just like I said, the lack of side content is a bit of a disappointment. But again,
I agree.
But yeah, obviously the main thing here is the story, which I didn't really look into a whole lot about what this DLC was going to be when they were kind of like ramping up towards this release.
I had no idea what we were getting ourselves into other than Kaito was in charge.
Yeah, basically that was it. This takes place a little bit after the events of Lost Judgment, so this is now the latest portion of the timeline. We get a bit in the very beginning of the game where I forget what is his actual name. What's Gavin's actual name? Hoshino. Yeah, he's going to
I love that we just call him Gavin.
Yeah, he's going to Cafe Albs to seek out this guy, and he's like being real shady and suspicious about it. And this detective guy is like, "Oh, you're getting hitched, aren't you? Well, we found this image of you and a lady coming out of a love hotel. What's going on with that?" And we're both just like, "What is happening here? What is going on?"
Gavin, please. And he's like, "No, don't tell Sarah." What's her name? His coworker. What's her name?
His lady.
Starts with an S.
Yes, you were
What is
right.
her name?
I'm trying to look. Don't worry.
Hack.
I'm trying to look.
Hack. I'm bad with names. That's why we call him Gavin.
Yes. Where's all the characters in Lost Judgment? Why aren't they just all here on this page? Why does this have to do this to me?
Heck.
I am suffering.
Yeah, bro, same.
I am Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz.
Good joke.
How do I remember his name but not hers?
I don't know. What is going on with you?
Saori?
I think that's right.
Yes, that is her name.
Okay, well, you were right the first time, and then you doubted yourself.
I did doubt myself because it's like, that doesn't sound right, but her name is Saori. Anyway, he's like, "No, don't tell her because we're dating. That would be bad." We're like, "What is happening? Why are you being so weird?"
But then it all turns out to be a ruse because Kaito shows up in just his very clearly everyday disguise gear.
His mom jeans.
Yes, and it's like, "Hey, you're a shady detective." And he's like, "Oh no,
I have been caught."
Oh no.
Gavin's like, "Please, like I would have done that."
Yes, it was all a ruse and all of that. But yeah, after that, Kaito wants to go out in the town and get drinks, but no one will go drinking with him because they're all busy and he's sad.
He's sad. We even tried, like, the first thing we tried was we're gonna go hang out with the boy
Higashi.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm trying to
I've
expand.
got business.
I'm trying to expand the arcade. And he's like, what? And then we also called Gavin back and we're like, hey, let's hang out. He's like, I literally just left. I told you I had to work.
Your office.
Told you I had to work.
What's wrong with you?
Goodbye.
But yeah, we go out drinking and we learned that it was like a murder happening, and Kaito's like, "Oh, a murder? Huh, interesting. All right, later."
All right.
But the big crux of this game is that we eventually get a job offer from this very wealthy CEO who's like, "I will give you 20 million yen if you find my wife. My wife. And a bunch of money if you can find her and she's unharmed."
Yep.
Supposedly she's been dead for 2 years, but supposedly she's back from the dead and walking through Kamurocho.
Yeah, he said that he had somebody who was friends with her mention that like they saw her, um, and that he trusts this person because they were like super good friends. So like that's why he seems to think that she is alive. So we're on a mission because Kaito wants that money.
That money.
Except for no. But it is worth mentioning that we were going to pay our friend, was it 50,000?
Yeah, he was gonna get 50,000 yen, and then we didn't tell him how much the job was worth.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, I'm getting paid how much to board this tea? And I love that he's just running around in his stupid apron. It's fantastic.
It's real good.
He is such a bro. I love him to pieces. But yeah, he should have gotten paid for more of that for the tea. But
it's true. I don't know if he actually got paid though.
He didn't because we turned the job down.
That's true. So yeah, this guy's name is Kyoya Sadamoto. He's like, please find my wife.
My wife.
And then he gives Kaito a picture of his wife, and Kaito's like, oh.
Yeah, because he mentions like I've tried to hire other people, but I think that you're the only one who can actually pull this off because of who you are. And he's like, what does that mean? And he shows the picture. He's like, okay.
Thanks, but no thanks. Have fun.
Yeah, I can't do that. Goodbye.
But
he's also wearing a suit, by the way.
He's trying to look professional because he's getting a lot of money. But then he doesn't get a lot of money. We learned that the lady that is, or the man's wife that is trying to be found is a woman named Mikiko, who used to be Kaito's ex-girlfriend.
Well, she is Kaito's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Used to be Kaito's girlfriend.
Yeah, same difference. Call it whatever you like. So that's why Kaito's like, I don't really feel comfortable doing this. Sorry. Gotta go.
There are very clearly some rough feelings there.
Yeah. We also learned that there's some kid running around Kamurocho trying to find Kaito, and then he eventually finds this kid at Charles, the arcade, trying to fend off this lady who was getting harassed by these two punks. Yep. And then he passes out because the knife comes out, and he's like, oh no, knife.
Nah.
So Kaito fights off these dudes and then wakes up the kid, and he's like, what are you doing? And then the kid learns who Kaito is. And he's like, I've been looking for you. I think you're my dad. And Kaito's like, excuse me? What?
What?
Run that by me again?
How could I be your dad?
How could I be your papa?
Also, turns out like, oh, by the way, the kid who was like missing that was the other guy's son. That's me. I'm that kid.
Yeah.
I just have bright red hair now, and I didn't in the picture.
Because I'm a punk now.
Woo!
I'm a delinquent.
Yeah, he's got like Ariel hair.
Yeah. So so Kaito takes him back to the office, and he basically this kid June basically gives out the entire same job to Kaito, and Kaito's like, I'll give you this watch. It's worth a lot of money. And then Kaito's like, no. Not happening.
Not your watch. You can't give that to me.
But Kaito reluctantly agrees because of the whole, maybe I'm this kid's dad. I don't know.
Yeah. I do love that he's also like, man, this thing's probably fake. And he's like, no, like this isn't real. And he like looks on basically like eBay or whatever. He's like, oh God, is this like a limited edition? He's like, no, that's just the watch. Like, so much money.
Yeah. So yeah, basically Kaito's now doing this job, and he's just like, I don't know what to feel about this. Along the way, we also get a bunch of backstory about Kaito and Mikiko and like how their relationship was formed and all that sort of stuff. Where like she barged into the whatchamacallit, the family. I don't remember what the family's called.
The family.
The Yakuza family Kaito was a part of.
Oh, Masagane?
The Masagane family, yes.
Is
the
that
Masagane
right?
family office. Yes, you're right. She busts in there because like her sister was getting harassed, and Kaito runs in and is like, what is going on here? And they're like, this lady's out of control. She's gonna break this dude's arm. And Kaito's like, all right, let me see what's going on here. Where he learns that like this lady's sister had racked up a bunch of money in a host club, and she didn't have money to pay it back, and she came in here to talk about it with her sister, and then one of the dudes got friendly with the sister, and then her sister basically beat this dude up, and now Kaito's like, all right, what's going on here? Also, she has like a resume with her, and Kaito's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Some sweets.
Yes, and then she basically tells him like, yeah, I was going to come in here and offer to do the job myself because I can actually do it. And she can. She's in school. She doesn't have the weight. I don't want her to drop out of school. I have more experience. I can do this. I can pay you back the money. And then Kaito's like, all right, okay.
I also love Kaito's stupid look here.
Yeah, it's real ridiculous. He looks older here than he does in the present.
He does. He looks older, but he also looks like he probably belongs in Smash Mouth.
Yes. I mean, it was like what, the mid 2000s when this was happening, so
it's
on par.
Was. But I was like, oh god, but yeah, Kaito looks so much older.
It's real funny. We also get a scene of like some dudes. She throws out at some dude at the club she's working at, and they try and like beat her up,
Protects
and then Kaito comes out and drop kicks them and beats them up, and he's like, I'm your bodyguard. She's like, okay, cool.
I love that Kaito basically falls for this girl because she's just like, I'm gonna fight everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I love you. This is brilliant. But yeah, he pulls the bodyguard line, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute actually.
But yeah, basically things happen and they start getting together and all that sort of stuff. We see a scene of like him and her along with the sister at Cafe Alps talking about her like graduating school and getting a job and all that sort of stuff. There's tension between Kaito and the foster parents because they seemingly don't really like him, and he's just like, yeah.
Well, they're also like, you are part of the Yakuza.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a little fair.
It's a little bit of a valid concern.
Yeah. And also we see how they eventually like kind of break up, where it's like she's thinking of like getting more serious with him, and then he's like thinking of getting out of the Yakuza, but then he takes like this job to save Matsugane because someone put a hit out on him, so he's got to go do this raid, and she's like, oh, you think the family's more important than me, huh? And he's like, I don't want to answer that. But I gotta go do this. See you later. And then he comes back home and she's gone.
She packed her bags and left a note.
Yes. Also, the kid, June, basically thinks that Kaito's his dad because he read his mom's journal or diary, whatever you want to call it, and she talks about the breakup and is like, yeah, there's this one thing I couldn't get rid of. Then I couldn't talk to him about it, so that's sad. Anyways.
Like, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah, so he thinks that means, oh, they had me when they were still together, or like, you know, I was conceived while they were still together, and then they broke up, and then, oh, she had me as a kid, and she couldn't tell Kaito about it, so that's that.
And my dad just, married her knowing that.
Yep. So all that's happening. June gets kidnapped by the corrupt detectives that we fought in the very beginning of the game, because they're being told that they need the kid for some reason, and then the kid's like, I'm gonna jump out of a window when there's guns on us.
Woo!
And Kaito's like, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing?
Please.
This is bad.
No.
And then eventually we learn about how there was a person coming around Kamurocho a little bit after Mikiko's death, asking about her, similar to how we are now. And we learned that it's like a doctor from Chiba, who is named Yasutaka Shirakawa. We go to his place and talk to him, and he basically tries to play coy at first, but then Kaito's like, nah, you're lying. I know the scent of a liar. And basically gets him to tell us the truth, which is basically he found Mikiko like washed up at a river unconscious, and like helped get her back to safety and to health, but she had amnesia from whatever happened to her. He kind of presumes that there was a gang going after her because a gang kind of came to his house and was like, hey, where's this girl? And he's like, oh, she's dead. He was also able to fake the death and the autopsy because he is the town doctor and is able to do that sort of stuff.
Right. I was gonna say like that the reason he figured it out, like he was initially like upset about it, but then Like the doctor mentioned something about the Millennium Tower in the picture, and he's like, "Wait a minute, how would you know
Yeah.
that?"
You're not from there. You don't know what the Millennium
Yeah.
Tower is.
Well, and like wouldn't have known like that's what it was of and all that jazz. And
Yeah.
he's like, unless somebody told you, in which case we know who it is.
Huzzah.
So tell us the truth.
Yeah, so he basically spills everything, and talks about how he's basically kept her at his place for the last 2 years because she still has amnesia and everything, but she left the place like very recently because she watched something and was just like, Yum.
It had to do with the theater in Kamurocho.
Yes. And then she just left. He's like,
Yep.
oh, where'd you go? Where did you come from? Where did you go? And then a bunch of dudes show up.
God.
And they're like, we're looking for the lady, but we know she's resurfaced, so we're going to find her. We know you know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So Kaito has to beat them all up.
Yeah, and the one guy, like, well, there's the blue-haired guy, but we have to mention the best dude of the bunch, the pink shorts, green camo man.
Yes.
What a dude!
What a man.
Just like a regular dude in the team that's got these hot pink shorts and green camo shirt, and we're just like, whoa, that guy.
It's a look.
And then the super drunk guy comes up and like rips a light post out of the ground and is like, let me use this as a weapon. Kaito's like, what?
That is Kenmochi. He just gets drunk and wants to fight.
And he was wasted.
The boys, I think, I don't know if I mentioned that they're from Crimson Lotus, but yeah, they're from Crimson Lotus. They also mentioned that Mikiko has been killing their higher ups.
Yep.
And they're like, no, that's not a thing. That can't be true.
No.
But yeah, we beat everyone up, and then Kenmochi barfs on the yard, and then we leave as they leave as well. We head back to Kamurocho. There's a building burning next to Stardust, and Kaito finds or sees someone up in the roof of the building with a gun, and he's like, oh, that's bad. I'm going to go up there and run through the building and find what's happening. And he finds Mikiko, and he's like, hey, are you trying to kill these people? What's going on? And she's like, I got to get back at these people because they killed my family.
Yep.
They killed my sister. They killed my parents. They burned them to death. Because he
learns accident.
He learns a little bit before that the sister is dead.
Yeah.
And he did not know that.
Right.
But now he knows like what actually happened. He's like, oh, yikes. Because he also learned that like the police ruled it as like, oh, it's a stalker who did an arson, and that was it. But she's the one saying, no, it was this gang who came to my house and burned it to the ground and killed them all. While he also goes up there, like the dude is like beat up. Was the dude already shot or beat up or something or dead?
That guy's been shot.
Right.
I think there was another guy that like got away, maybe.
That sounds about right. Either way, like Kaito has to jump off a roof with her and land on a car. And he's like, "Ow!"
Yeah, ouchie.
That sucked. And then she gets away again. He's like, "Dang it!
I'm hurting.
This is painful." Eventually, he has to go tell Kenmochi with June, because he thinks that's going to lead him to Mikiko again. But it eventually basically is a trap, and Mikiko gets captured along with the one corrupt detective guy is also there, and he's like, yeah, we were hired by her, and oh god, we didn't protect her. You have to go save her. And he's like, okay. Kaito is like, okay, I guess I'll do this. So he has to go beat up a bunch more Crimson Lotus guys, and eventually gets up to like the top floor of this love hotel and finds Kenmochi there again with Mikiko on the bed. Kenmochi and Kaito have another fight where Kaito is able to be victorious and everything. And
did we talk about going into the building that was on fire?
Yeah, that was the last thing we just talked about.
Okay, I've totally missed it. Sorry.
Wait, which part are you talking about? Like after or during?
The part after where we get the crowbar and stuff.
No, we did not.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. I totally thought we didn't talk about that.
No, but we can talk about that after this.
Had a glitch in the Matrix there, I think. Anyway,
Um,
continue.
but yeah, you have to fight Kenmochi again, and then
In his
during
undie pants.
in his undie
little man
pants.
panties.
Yes,
Run around in the man panties.
it's true.
He's like, I didn't actually touch her.
I didn't do that. Also, I wasn't aware they were going to be home.
Yeah, he's like,
I didn't know they were going to be home, and like just
super
starts
haunted.
breaking down and like sees their ghosts,
yep.
and like just starts like throwing up again, and just like you could tell how like traumatized this dude is by having. He's the one who presumably did all the murdering and everything, but
Right.
was unaware that they were supposed to be there. He was
Did
like,
not
oh.
know that was going to be the case.
He basically is like, oh, I'm just gonna burn this house down because these people are holding out because they were trying to buy out this like area to renovate it into money making things, and that family was the one who's like, nah, we're gonna hold out. We don't want this money. So they're corrupt real estate people, so they're gonna burn the place down and be like, oh, sorry, house burnt down, now we can just move in, da 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 da. So that's what he was going to do, but oh hey, those people were there, and oh god, I didn't know about that. Oh god.
They were not on vacation.
So Kaito is able to get Mikiko out of there and takes them back to the Bato Detective Agency, which is the corrupt dudes. But before that, let's talk about the burn building, where you basically go back in to investigate, and that's where you find the iPad that had like the picture of the Crimson Lotus gang as like when they were in college, as like a college group. I forget what the name of it was, but you find that, but you also find a hard drive in there. That's kind of burnt up, but you're able to extract some data out of it because you send it to Tsukumo, who's able to be like, yeah, there was some stuff on there because obviously it was a little damaged, but we found some stuff that was like, here's some money from this company, wire transfers coming to this company to the security company. It was from an app company, but the app company doesn't exist anymore, so it kind of seems like it's a dummy corp. It's real strange. Don't know what to make of that.
It's like the one time he shows up. Besides when we call him for drinks.
Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, now we're back at the detective agency, and this is where Mikiko's going to like give us her plot dump, where she's like, yeah, I've been trying to kill those guys, but every time I show up, they're already dead.
Yep.
And I don't know what's happening.
Yep.
I want my revenge.
But I want to also murder the person who is taking my opportunities away, who's getting to them before I can.
She mentions how she hired the Bato detectives because she needed someone who could do this that, knew her plan, wouldn't ask who she is, wouldn't ask questions, all that sort of stuff. Also, she wanted to protect June, who's also not Kaito's kid.
Not Kaito's kid. Definitely not Kaito's kid.
She's like, Kaito basically tells her, like, oh, this is what June told me. And then she's like, yeah, I don't think that's right.
Nah.
Oh, do you remember when we went shopping and I wanted to get some clothes and you let me borrow some money and then we broke up and I couldn't ask to like repay you back. It's real awkward. And that's what I was talking about. Yeah, that was it. And Kaito's like, oh, okay.
He seems kind of disappointed that like he's not the dad.
Yeah.
Because he's been palling around with this kid, but
yeah.
Yeah, he is definitely not the dad. It is absolutely the head tech man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't say he's a head yet, but he is a head.
But there is a key line here that Mikiko says when she's talking to Kaito and giving her side of the story and everything, is that one of the things that helped her regain her memories is that she was watching television and Kyoya was on the TV, and she said like he was looking as smug as he usually does, and she says that line with such vitriol.
Yep.
That you're just like, that's not normal.
Well, and there's also the part where June talks about his knife fear, where his dad like was cutting him on the arm because he was playing with his knives. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Like, that's the first big warning sign. You obviously get warning signs when the guy comes in, and obviously he's very detailed for a character, so you know he's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But also, like, the knife thing is the first warning sign, and then when Mikiko says that line with, like, such vitriol about him, you're like, oh...
Yep.
This is not good.
Something's not going on with that guy. It's bad.
I mean, obviously he was very kind of like, this is probably our bad guy, but that kind of like is the confirmation essentially.
Yep.
So yeah, all that happens, and then she starts getting sleepy, so like they take her to another room to let her rest, and Kaito and the other guys have a little chat about things and how she got hired and all that sort of stuff. And then they go to like check up on her, and then the one guy's like, she's gone. Oh no, she went through the window. So you have to beat up those guys so to get information, and then once you beat them up, they're like, all right, let's go to Ijincho. We gotta go crash a party. because the remaining members of Crimson Lotus are having their annual reunion.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
They apparently do this every year. Is when all the big heads show up. Sadamoto will also show up because he's very much the guru of that club.
Mm-hmm.
And is basically the mastermind behind them getting together and pushing them to do more like illicit behavior and activities.
I also love that we have to like try and figure out a way to get into this party.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole lot of it is just like Kaito trying to figure out like, well, what outfit could I fit into?
Also, I guess that we should mention like the investigative portions of this game. You know, it's similar to the other games as well, but like
we sniff.
Kaito has different investigative powers where he can obviously use his eyes to look at stuff, but also he can use his nose to smell out stuff, and also he has better hearing, I guess, than Yagami, so he can hear things and what's the word I'm looking for? Eavesdrop on various conversations and all that sort of stuff, which is very funny. But yeah, you're able to do all that, and then you get to dress as a waiter. But when you go to find a waiter costume, you find the one guy from Judgment and Lost Judgment who you beat up and took his clothes, the very gaudy looking guy.
Yep.
And then that's the guy who was doing the VR thing in Lost Judgment. Right?
Yes.
And then apparently he lost his job because of things that Yagami says, so he's still very mad. And then you beat him up and take his clothes again.
Yep. Leave him in his undie pants.
So you go around because you're expecting Mikiko to show up here. You go around and try to talk to various people at the party and see if she has shown up. Apparently, she walked in and claimed she was someone else. And that happened. And then you go to a bathroom and find a dude beat up, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, woman? She beat me up. She's probably going to the roof, I guess." So you have to go to the roof, but along the way, you got to fight a bunch of Crimson Lotus dudes because they figure out stuff's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to beat up a bunch of dudes, and then the Bato detective guys eventually are like, "We'll beat up these guys. You go up and find the gal."
Man, and we were excited at first because we're like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna let us take over," and like, no, we have to fight with them first, and then they'll take over at some point. We're like, What?
Got a bunch of dudes to fight. So you get to the roof, and there's Mikiko, and she's got a gun to Sadamoto.
Yep.
Who is, lo and behold, the mastermind behind everything.
What?
He basically reveals, like, yeah, I killed her family because I wanted money, and it was a great plan. Also, I married her so I could get all that money. It was a great plan. Then she found out about it, and I had to kill her. Great plan. Also, the leader of this group. How's it going? Hey, how's it going?
But I'm not an official member of it because, gotta keep appearances.
Yes, appearances.
But
also, he's the one who's been killing all the other members to cover up his ties.
Yep.
So no one will find out about him and everything. He also brings June out and has a gun to him, holds him hostage, and is like, "Hey, if you want your kid back, kill Kaito right here and now, and then maybe just kill yourself afterwards."
Yep.
I'll give June a bunch of money for it.
Then he can move overseas and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Kenmochi comes out and is like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And you have this like big decision to be like, "All right, who do I talk down here?"
It took us forever to figure out who to talk down.
Because it's like you can try to talk down Sadamoto, you can try and make June power up, you can try and talk down Mikiko, or you can try and talk to Kenmochi and be like, "Hey, this is what's really happening."
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We talked to Kenmochi because we
After
knew
debating
he's traumatized.
forever.
And we're like, "Hey, did you know he's the one who ordered that death, and he knew they were there, and he's the one who made you go do that?" And was basically like, "Yeah, this is my get-rich-quick scheme." And now he's killing off all the members because he doesn't want people to know he's tied to this organization. And Kimochi's like, "Dude, what's this guy talking about? Is that true? That better not be true." And, "Oh, God, I'm coughing up blood." And then he just goes down. And then a bunch of other dudes come up, and they're like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah, and then we see like on his phone, he's like, "Oh, it just took a little bit longer than I expected." And, like everybody is dying. Everybody's coughing up blood. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people.
If they drank the wine, they are coughing up blood and dying.
Yeah, so he had like laced the wine of the Crimson Lotus special table. So anybody who was at the table or like
came up to the table.
Yeah, was dying
In for a bloody
basically.
time.
And he's like, well, it's not my fault that they were interested in going to the table.
Also, I planted your fingerprints and hair next to the wine and poison, so people are gonna think it's you who did this now.
Yep. Oh.
And I'm going to get away with it. June powers up and is able to get away and captures his dad's arm and is like, "I'm gonna get you."
I love that he puts his dad's arm in the signature arm hold of his mom. Like he's done that move a few times. So I was like, you know what, that's good. I like that.
Mikiko goes to kill him, and then Kaito's like, "You better not do that. Your kid still needs a mom.
You will regret that.
You better stop that." And then you have a fight with Sadamoto.
Yep.
And the whole time we were like, "Don't turn your back on him after we beat him. He's gonna get up and stab someone or shoot someone."
Yep. Things are gonna be bad.
But yeah, you're able to talk Mikiko down from killing him, and then Kenmochi just rises from the death and just rushes over to Sadamoto and chokes him to death.
He's basically like a zombie. And
Yeah.
he's like, what the
Still
heck?
seeing the ghosts of the family he murdered, and then just rushes over, strangles the dude to death, and
Snaps
dies.
his neck.
Yeah, he snaps his neck and dies.
Yeah, just dies while sitting over him with his hand still around his neck. Like
Kaito, Mikiko, and Jun just are sitting there watching okay.
well, I mean, I guess the good thing is none of them had to get their hands dirty.
Yeah,
but,
because we were very much
yikes.
thinking someone from this main group is going to die, of the non-villain group. Mikiko's
Right.
probably gonna get got here.
I thought it was gonna be her because there were some death flags that got thrown up.
And it's a Yakuza game where it feels like there's always that chance of one of the more minor prominent characters is going to get got.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's a villain character, they're going to for sure get got.
Right. So, yeah, that was something unexpected for him to just rise from your grave.
Yeah, essentially.
and because he was dead as heck. He was.
And then just gets back up and it's like, why would you do this? Why?
Because Tech Dad Man was like, oh, I'll throw you a lavish funeral. It'll be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's just like, no, screw you. You're dying too. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah. Also, Kaito got
his neck in front of his kid.
Yeah, it's real messed up, but
Real messed up. That kid's gonna need so much therapy.
Yeah. Kaito also got messed up because he got poisoned by the same poison.
The knives.
The knives the dude was using were laced with poison, so Kaito's all messed up. He's like, oh.
Yikes.
Which is why we also thought Mikiko was going to get got there, because Kaito was real messed up, and she turns her back on him to look after June.
Yeah.
And then that's when Kenmochi rushes over. It's like, clunk. So yeah, that all happens, and then Kaito has to go to hospital again. And wakes up, and Higashi and Jun are playing cards and are like, oh, hey, bro, what's up?
Yeah, there are multiple times throughout the game where Jun is just wrecking people at games that he's never played before, which is really funny. But yeah, that was happening here. And Yagami left us a fruit basket because he's like, I didn't know what else to do.
So Yagami had been on a case this entire time with Ehara, where they are, or not Ehara, the lawyer guy.
Oh, starts with a G, right?
Genda. Where they were going off and fighting bears or something and getting in the woods and trying to find a divorcee and stuff like that or whatever. And then eventually he finally finished that job and came back. And
there's swan boats too.
Yeah, and then he's like, here's a fruit basket. I got to go deal with some stuff. See you later. I'll be back later.
He's like, I didn't know what else to do. So here you go, fruit.
Kaito's just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's about right. And then he just gets butt naked in front of the people and changes.
He's like, I gotta go again. I gotta leave. He gets a letter. He gets a letter from go ahead.
I was gonna say, we haven't mentioned at all that Kaito magical girls a few times into outfits, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really good. He's just like, here's my disguise. There's my regular outfit, guys. What's up? Anyway, continue.
Kaito gets a letter from Shirakawa, the doctor, and it's because Shirakawa, when he takes him back to Kamurocho, is like, yeah, I want to propose to Mikiko. I've fallen for her. He sends this letter to Kaito. Is like, hey,
If you have feelings for her.
She's gonna be here. If you have feelings for her, come to my place and we will settle this.
Yep. Yeah. And June's like, what's this about? And he's like, he's kind of like
calling me out.
Challenge me to a duel.
And then June's like, yeah, I'm going to go over there and see mom and everything. And Kaito's like, all right, I'm coming with you.
Yep.
June's like, all right, what? All right, okay.
I can do it by myself, but all right, if you want to come, it's fine.
So they go there and Mikiko's there. She's fine and everything. Just having like tea or whatever. And they have a little chit chat. And then Shirakawa comes out and is like, Kaito, I guess you're here. Let's do this. And then Kaito the whole time is like, I don't know if you really want to do this. This is real weird. And
like,
then
Doctor like pulled out a ring at one point and was like going to talk about it.
He like pulls out to an engagement ring to propose, and Kaito's like, whoa.
Wait just a minute.
I don't know about that. Let's do this.
Okay, now is the time to settle these things.
And then the whole time we're just like, are we just gonna beat this doctor up and feel real bad about it?
Because he's like a nervous nerd.
And then he pulls off his shirt and suit
Yakuza
jacket,
style.
and he's jacked to the gills.
So beefy.
He gives this explanation of like, yeah, when she had amnesia and everything, I knew I had to protect her, so I gave my second life to the gym, to gains.
He's got bigger boobs than us.
He got jacked.
Like
he got yoked.
So jacked, and both of us were just losing our minds at this point. Like, what is happening?
And then Kaito's like, all right, guess we're doing this. And then you fight him, and he's like an actual hard boss fight.
Yeah, like I was wondering, like, are we actually supposed to story-wise lose this fight? And I was worried about that. But yeah, I do love that they both do the Yakuza shirt throw for this fight, because it's like the first time you actually get the shirt throw.
Yeah.
To be shirtless. And she at one point says something about like, yeah, I should kind of get a say in this, but yeah, they're just like, all right, let's fight. And he even like regains his health bar at one point.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ. I'm glad that it was a winnable fight, because I was worried about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doctor is jacked.
So ridiculous.
It was so funny. We were both losing it.
It's very good. But yeah, you're able to win that fight, and it's real good. Before that, like, Kaito's just trying to like be real cordial to Mikiko, and Shirakawa's like, he probably lives in like a bum apartment. But Kaito's like, I clean it. Thank you very much. And then after you win the fight, Kaito's like, yeah, my apartment's not that clean. It's real messy. Also, I'm broke. Detective work isn't doing it for me.
I'm behind on rent all the time.
Yeah, things aren't necessarily great, but
all that being said, do you want to come with me?
Try? And she's like, yeah.
June's like, okay, yes.
New dad, yay!
Yay! I wanted you to be my dad anyway, so now you're my dad.
There is that real good scene with June in the hospital, like after everything went down with Kaito and him on the roof, where they're like, he's trying to like help him grieve through like the death of his dad and everything. Like Kaito like talks about his dad and everything, and like what happened, and how he's like, you don't need to join the Yakuza or anything. You just gotta fight for the people you love. Do it from like whatever drives you inside. Do all that sort of stuff. It's a real good moment. Yeah.
And like he basically says like it's okay to be sad. Like even if he was a guy, like he was your dad. Like you can express those emotions. It's like, Kaito, you're a good dad. Mm-hmm. Good job, buddy.
He just needs a dad squat more.
He does need a dad squat more. But I mean, I guess June is a little bit tall for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. He's just like, yeah, my life kind of sucks, but like if you want to be part of it, let's do this. And I was telling you, I'm like, she's probably loaded.
Yeah.
Because she was rich to begin with, and then like her husband died, and she probably got all those assets. So like I don't think that Kaito's really gonna have an issue anymore.
I hope not.
I do want to see his apartment though. Like we saw the apartment that they shared, but I don't think he's probably in the same apartment.
We both just thought he lived at the office.
Yeah, it made the most sense.
But apparently that's not the case. But yeah, Kaito gets the happy ending.
we were so surprised. I was very happy that he got a
Mhm.
happy ending, and I'm hoping that we get to see more of Mikiko and June moving forward
Yeah,
with
because they're great
the series.
characters.
They're very good characters. Like I was actually surprised how much I liked them.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh god, June's just gonna be a pain in the butt because he's like that weird punk kid.
Hmm.
But no, he's actually like a really, really well written character, and I enjoyed like hanging around with him and like his he had really serious moments and he had really funny moments, and like he was overall pretty good. And there was also some hints in there, I would think anyway. Like there was one part where he's like, yeah, Kaito's boss. I would like to see him in action.
Hmm.
And he said something else at one point that was like, huh, interesting. Like that can't just be a throwaway line. That seems weird.
Like I think it's just something like of how he wants to be more like Kaito
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of
He was
like
saying that he
fighting
wants to be more like
for people like
Kaito.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I think they have like compared to how we felt coming out of Lost Judgment and now coming out of this, I think there is definitely more avenues for them to explore if
Mm-hmm.
they have to with the way this management, scenario is going down. If they are not they are unable to resolve it, there are
Right.
definitely more avenues they can pursue with this subseries in particular
Mm-hmm.
rather than what we thought coming out of Lost Judgment,
Right. Right.
which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, man, like a happy ending that very rarely happens here. And like it was a very Kaito branded happy ending, but
Hmm.
like I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It was very nice. And like despite the fact that it was a relatively short story, like it was a very believable love story there.
Hmm.
Because like neither of them obviously is perfect. And like his like funny falling in love because she's just like trying to be a badass and actually is pretty good at being a bad. That's good. But then like the conflict that they fell out on, like that was really well written and it
Yeah.
made sense. Um, but it didn't feel like shoehorned at the end of like him getting the girl type thing. Like
No, no, no.
it felt like a natural response. It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this quite a lot. It
Same.
was very fun.
I'm very excited for the future of this series in particular.
And it had cats again, so
You did have cats. You got to go look at kitty cats and kind of be like, "Oh, look at you, buddy.
and then they're like, here, have a plate.
You have a record."
Here, have a bloody medal.
Like, yay!
Yay, thanks, kitty.
Meow.
Wow. I still think it's funny though that our special abilities are sniffing and hearing.
It's real good.
Like we'll just randomly hear Kaito start sniffing something. We're like, what?
Something's in the area.
Oh god, Kaito. What are you, a search dog?
Yes.
Hilarious. Um I the only other thing worth mentioning is well, there's probably a few other things worth mentioning. But there was one part where we got stuck. Check the boxes. Always check the cardboard boxes, my friends.
Yes, that was true. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate.
But things happen.
Yep.
Just gotta check all the boxes. But yes, that's the Kaito files for you. It is a pricey DLC, but I think if you are like someone who's into this entire series and like these games, like it's well worth your time.
Yeah.
And if the price point is a little sticky for you, like Yakuza games go on sale a lot, so presumably this DLC will go on sale at some point. So maybe wait for that if you are a little hesitant with the price point. But like we said, it is a lengthy DLC. Like it is like it took us about 8 hours, and that's you can get $30 8-hour games on any of the store platforms. So
And I mean,
it's
this
just,
is a really well put together DLC and it's got a
yeah,
fun story. So,
it's just how you value your time and money and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But do you want to see Kaito in mom jeans? Do you want to see Kaito in his weird sweatsuit? Do you want to see Kaito looking like he's straight out of Smash Mouth? This is the DLC for you.
all true and all yes.
Kaito find love and a son
There you go.
and beat up a beefy doctor.
God, what a moment.
It's probably one of my favorite moments that I've seen so far in like the Yakuza series
It's real good. It's real
or
good.
Yakuza and Yakuza side genre.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for the Kaito files, and that's it for Lost Judgment.
Yep. We got the red double K's here.
We did. And that's it for our episode.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool. It's where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a wealth of bonus content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, I don't know, it'll be something else.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Shark shoulders.